Oh my gosh! Hello and welcome to the Smorgasbord, bringing you another Netflix. No, this wasn't a Netflix movie review. This was just a terribly good movie review. But let's start off with introductions. I am Nathan.
I am Graham.
I am Luke.
And together we are the Smorgasbord Crew.
Spelled
S.
M.
Okay.
O.
R.
G.
Smorg. O.
And you can take it from
No,
there.
no. Hey, it's A. Smorgas.
You've got a 20th century phone. You can look it up there.
No, I have it because
Give you 30 seconds.
AS. Smorgas.
Board. Alright.
What, board?
Smorgasbord.
That's not one word.
It's definitely one word.
No, it's not.
Alright. Today we sat down and we watched the infamous Troll 2. Made in 1990. This is a film about a young boy and his family who decide to take a vacation to the middle of nowhere in Utah.
Well, they're not taking a vacation. They're doing a house swap.
Oh yeah, house swap in Utah.
For a month. Full month.
Full month. And while they're there, he discovers that the town is, spoiler alert, full of, you guessed it, not goblins, or not trolls, but goblins.
What's the name of the town again?
The name of the town is Niglums. Niglums.
Wait.
Goblin.
Well,
It's goblin spelled backwards. Goblin.
Niglum.
Okay. Niglum, I guess.
No, we had Nigub. No, Nig.
Alright, while Luke works on that spelling of goblin backwards. We had our cast of characters. We had the young boy, played by Michael Stevenson.
Joshua,
yes. And then we had his family members. Graham, how about you tell us a little bit about either his father or his mother?
The mother is very reactionary and has very strong emotional, I guess, reactions to like disasters or concerns. The father is a little bit, he seems a little absentee, but he knows enough to hate his daughter's boyfriend for not really any good reason, but he comes on strong.
And he also knows what hunger is.
An interesting backstory, never got explained. Because the boy tinkled on dinner, to make a long story short. Spoiling the thunder a little bit.
Oh, sorry.
Luke, tell us about the sister.
Sister is she apparently works out and is into fitness. She likes her boyfriend.
She punched him in the movie.
A couple times.
I think
Very,
twice.
she's very territorial. She gets jealous easily.
What was her main issue with her boyfriend in the movie?
She was like, "You're spending too much time with the boys. You need to start spending some time with me." And I'm thinking, wow, that's a little controlling.
Which kind of leads us to our side characters of, in quotations, the boys.
The boys.
It's a group of 4 boys, including
The boyfriend.
And together they make up the boys.
They make up the.
You've got one that Arnold. He wears glasses.
I don't even remember the
and
name.
Well, Arnold was the one that I remember the most. He wears glasses. He smokes. He's kind of got this wit about him of like when they ran into the trolls in the not the trolls, the goblins.
Yeah.
Let's get that out of the way real quick. There are no trolls in Troll 2. They're goblins. So.
And there's not even a Trolls 1.
No, there's not a Trolls 1 movie. It's just Trolls 2. But anyway, Arnold, long story short, he's walking in the woods. Well, he chases down this girl who's sprinting away from him, and he ends up tackling her in the forest and lays his head upon her bosom. And then
not noticing a crowd of 15 goblins that were 15 feet away.
Exactly. And so he stands up and he walks over to the goblins and he gives them a piece of his mind. He tells them if they don't knock it off, something bad's going to happen to them.
And then they probably throw a spear into his shoulder.
And he proceeds to get a spear to the shoulder. Yep.
I used to be an adventurer like him.
At the same time, the girl caressed him after he tackled her, and she asked if she was human, and he's like, "Do you want me to show you?"
Oh, yeah.
And I was like, #me too.
Yeah, there were a lot of good little one-liners in this film, but so we've introduced the family, we've introduced the boys. The grandpa shows up, and something that the dad continues to make abundantly clear is that the grandpa died 6 months ago, and he just flat out tells the kid, "Grandpa's been dead. He's dead. He's dead. You're just seeing him." And the grandpa occurs in many visions and vivid dreams for this child. Not even dreams. It's like he's there in person.
It seems all very real.
But
real.
Grandpa turns out to be the saving grace in this story.
He is like, I don't know, he's like a mythological creature. Apparently, we don't know the backstory between his powers. He can freeze time.
Very specific amounts of time.
He can. How did he catch the person on fire?
By snapping his
lightning.
fingers.
Oh, yeah, lightning.
Just a little.
Yeah, so he apparently is a demigod of some sort, but that was never.
He's Odin.
Yeah, we don't know. We don't know there's others like him.
He was brought back by means of a seance.
Yeah,
where everyone had to concentrate. That was also made.
Yeah, that was very made.
Concentrate harder.
Despite shotgun blasts in the background, and an otherwise extremely quiet crowd around the house.
And then,
well, that's Grandpa. And then there's also...
Oh, there's the beautiful...
Real quick, before we get away from Grandpa. Graham, how about you tackle that freezing time moment for us? That 30, again, quotation marks, 30 seconds.
They show up at the house, and they're delighted to find this lovely meal all laid out with mysterious, like, dark purple and green pitchers of liquid and all these food out and corn.
And it's like normal food, but then it's like someone got like paste or
green icing.
Yeah, icing and just
piped it onto everything.
Like even a corn cob, like which we'll get into more of the corn cobs later.
So Grandpa he says, "Come here, Joshua," and he says, "You can't let them eat the food." He says, "I don't know. How can I stop them?" He says, "I will give you 30 seconds to find out a solution." And he snaps his fingers and then disappears. And we counted a minute.
Minute and 12 seconds.
A long minute and 12 seconds.
And so it kept flashing back to him, looking out the window. 20 seconds passed before he actually
walked over to the table.
And then he kept looking at everybody. I don't know if there was a miscommunique between the writers and the director. But, or they were trying to build suspense.
The movie could have shed 42 seconds, I think, somewhere, if they needed it. So it ends with the boy hopping on the table and yelling the word no and unzipping his pants.
And then it cuts to the parents. Does it cut to the dad?
Please don't hit him, to the parent. Not really funny.
and then it just shows the parents and the sister
throwing away all
the food.
Which we can assume the boy took like Graham said, a tinkle on the table.
Yeah.
Well, don't say that around Collins, but
I'm just imagining all the other solutions he could have gotten the food,
ripped the tablecloth off.
Yeah, thrown it away. Could have just spit on it.
I mean, it's a long 30 seconds, so he definitely could have.
30 seconds.
He probably could have made an entire new meal and laid it out in front of his family, and they wouldn't have known.
But instead, he opted for apparently the best option that an 8-year-old kid could think of was peeing all over the food. Now, let me
think
tell
that
you,
kid
this
was
kid,
8, then
I think, already has some other issues because his parents keep saying that he's disturbed because he keeps seeing his grandpa. I wouldn't be surprised if all of this was just inside his head and he was really in a mental institution. And he was just conjuring up all of this.
Interesting twist.
Because what 8-year-old kid decides to just pee on all the food? I mean, I was a weird
comment.
Kid. I was a weird kid, but I never had that. That would not be the first. When I was thinking about how he could have handled that situation, that was the last thing that came to mind.
So we get to they're throwing away all the food, and we flash back to the boys that are all in the RV together that they borrowed from their parents, or maybe he just owns an RV.
It's about like these teenagers can even drive an RV.
How hard do you think it is to drive an RV?
Dude, it's like a truck, like a big old, almost like a semi truck. You ever someone's license to drive an RV?
I didn't understand a word you just said.
Never mind.
There's a rule about eating during a podcast.
I'm leaning back from the mic.
Anyway, so we flash back to the boys in the RV, and they open the fridge, and one of them exclaims, "Oh, there's no milk or coffee," which is two things that, all teenagers definitely drink, milk and coffee. So they send one of the boys to the store with money. And on his way to the store, he runs into the town sheriff, who offers to give him a ride to the station. Pretty nice. Mm-hmm. But then hands him a green, goo-filled sandwich, which I don't know what green goo-filled sandwich a normal person would eat, but I can't think of one off the top of my head. Yeah, but the kid just downs it, just
at first
doesn't
he starts eating it, but he's taking, the actor's taking, small bites out of it, because he's like, I'm not going to eat this loaf of bread with...
The prop master only made one of these things, so...
Yeah, he's just, taking tiny little bites out of it. I'm like, I don't blame him. And I'm thinking about, I get why they make it that way, because it's supposed to be the whole vegetation thing, which we will get to, but... there's just so many other ways you could go about making a veggie sandwich.
Scene with the sheriff ends. He lets a boy out of the car and he says, "Hey, by the way, where can we find some of the young women in town?" And the sheriff goes, "Ah ha ha, you think you're gonna..." And then he just closes the door as the sheriff's backing out, continues laughing, and drives off all in one shot. Which takes me to my theory that this is made in the vein of Saved by the Bell, where it's a one-take movie.
Oh.
Where at the end of every scene, the director is like, should we do one more take of that? And no. Well, those extras were looking right at the camera. No, that one take was all we needed.
We're saving film.
So that's my theory about this movie. And if you watch it, you'll notice. And Saved by the Bell is the same way. You'll always notice extras in the back, or a line that was kind of flubbed or mumbled. And it's like, should we do... No, we're good. Let's just keep shooting.
Well, while we're talking about that, the one-shot theory, this film had a estimated budget of $200,000, which is pretty low. Very low, extremely low for this kind of movie. But
in 1990.
It's how long ago do you think 1990 was? It'd probably be
20, it's almost 30 years ago.
It's like $800,000 back then.
Yeah, so okay.
Back in them days.
I like another 200,000, probably like 400,000.
Probably not. If you think it was double, but
I'll
anyway.
look it up.
But still, 200,000. Pretty low budget film, but this film made it to Amazon Prime, and is it still raking in money? Being on Amazon Prime, is this guy still getting paid for this film?
They probably had to pay him a certain amount to get the rights.
That's what I'm thinking.
Or the studio, at least.
Yeah.
I don't know. Either way, someone's making money off of it, so,
But anyway, our now sick one of the boys, I'm going to call him Yellow Shirt Boy because he was wearing a yellow shirt, goes into the general store to pick up some food, some eggs, some bacon, to which the shopkeeper expresses, "Ugh, eggs, bacon, that's the devil's food. Oh, we're all vegetarians in this town. Here, you can take some of this milk for free." It's like a bottle of this milk, which we've found out is old and chunky and
very curdled.
Curdled, yeah. So anyway, he takes the milk anyway and steps outside, in which he's greeted by probably 10, if I had to guess, 10 or 12 country folk, which are, I'll let you put that together in your mind what they might look like, but a bunch of older gentlemen with their trucker hats on and interesting shades.
It was authentic.
Very authentic. They step out and they say, "Oh, your friend has a message for you. It's meet him at this church, this abandoned church."
Oh, is it my friend Jeremy?
Oh yeah, Jeremy. Just so he stumbles out of there. Now he's starting to accumulate little green drops of blood or chloroplast on his forehead because he's eating that green sandwich. And gets to the church and finds his friend Arnold from the beginning of the film, who stood up to the goblins. He is now a tree person. Half man, half tree in a pot. This is a movie.
I want to say the effects, the makeup and everything was spot on.
Let me say, my favorite effect in that entire film was Arnold as the half tree, half man. That was like, especially his face, being completely honest.
Being completely, just gross oak, bark, whatever.
Was that oak?
I don't know if it was oak or cedar. I don't know. But then his friend proceeds to cower behind something, and he's moaning. Or then Arnold starts to moan and try to call out to his friend, and there's like a 5-minute...
of him looking the wrong direction,
him
timing at Arnold.
He looks in the wrong direction and says, "Arnold," and then he says, and then all of a sudden he turns around, and it's like, was the actor? Did they not tell actors where to look in this whole movie? I mean, they were looking at the camera.
Apparently not, because all the extras were staring directly into the camera lens, and the mom was staring directly into the lens half the time.
I mean, that's the most beautiful part about this movie is just they break the fourth wall so many times. They think, Deadpool did it. No, Trolls 2 did it. So even who talks to? There's a point the grandpa even talks to the camera, or someone does, right?
I'm pretty sure all the characters talked to the camera at some point in this film.
Yeah, I mean, it's incredible. I mean, they were really breaking ground in 1990.
I'm chewing.
And Arnold's friend proceeds to be harassed by... Oh, we didn't introduce the witch lady.
That's fine. Now's a good time to introduce her, because she wasn't really important until this moment.
Nathan or Graham, do you want to introduce the beautiful and seductive goblin lady?
Spoiler alert.
Oh, yeah, because...
Yeah, so they... Yellow Shirt Boy stumbles into Arnold, tries to take Arnold with him by pulling him along. He's secured in a pot because his feet are now roots. So he starts to kind of drag him out of there, and Arnold is just providing the best dialogue at the moment.
He's perfectly calm.
He's fine. He's fine being a tree man now for the rest of his life.
It's almost like he's kind of annoyed by it. He's just like...
It's like, put some back into it. Lift with your legs.
He's not crying for mercy or screaming out of fear. He's more like annoyed.
Literally branches growing out of his calves and forearm.
His fingers.
Yeah, he's just like...
Come on, hurry.
Come on, hurry. Come on.
Kind of like what Graham sounds like when he's mildly irritated.
Yeah. Like, let's hurry it up. It's time.
It's
been a rough day here.
So then we meet the witch goblin woman. This seducing charming gal, walks down the stairs and grabs the yellow-shirted boy by the collar and throws him onto her bed. And then proceeds to get out a chainsaw and look at Arnold and say, "Oh, this is just gonna tickle. I'm gonna make a milkshake for your friend." And as the as the chainsaw is heading towards Arnold, I'm expecting like maybe some sort of green like blood splatter or maybe even red, and then like this terribly disgusting gory effect. When in reality, she touches him with the chainsaw, and you can't see it in frame. But then he starts like giggling and then laughing as if he's being tickled by the chainsaw as a tree. Whereas I'd like to think if you were a tree and somebody was cutting into you, you would be, that tickles. Oh, that's just a little, knock it off. You know, I'd like to think of it more as you're stabbing into the soul of the tree. But anyway, then she feeds.
Well, we don't know if we just see that.
We see the milkshake.
The next scene,
in the
she's
blender.
making the milkshake, and the other dude's on the bed, and that's the last we see of Arnold and
the yellow shirt boy.
But we don't know. I guess he becomes a plant too.
Or plant matter.
Plant matter.
The goblin's favorite food.
That's true.
Half tree, half human.
Because goblins do not eat meat, which we'll get into the ending of the movie shortly on the very anticlimactic ending to this film.
Speaking of spoilers.
Yep. So then the boy and the dad go to town because they too don't have any groceries in the fridge. It's just curdled milk. And the boy comes across a group of the townspeople being led by this preacher, quotation marks, talking about how flesh is disgusting. Oh, hamburger, the steak, sausage. And he names like 4 or 5 other meats in a row.
For like 2 minutes, he's just talking about how bad meat is.
And then you hear the crowd in the background just going, just like
they already know they don't like it. They don't have to say it.
He keeps going for a good amount of time. To which the boy drops his skateboard among all the people because he's up in the rafter looking down, and proceeds to be grabbed by the face by a hand.
A split second after it falls.
Yeah. And then they try to feed him curdled ice cream.
Yes.
Which I didn't understand that scene. Were they trying to plump him up, like fatten him up a little bit for when they turn him into plant food?
Well, yeah.
Because it's not like the curdled ice cream was going to turn him into.
But that's what they made it sound like, and he kept saying no, I can't eat it.
I mean,
I'm thinking,
Graham, your
I mean, you know the lore behind this movie, Graham. The trolls.
Thankfully,
too.
I don't. But I am looking forward to us talking about the real hard sell that they do on the family when they try and get the family to eat the food.
Oh,
where they
yes.
have a whole literal song and dance. And
yeah. So the father intervenes at just the right time.
He makes a great entrance too. He has that dad look, and he just starts running towards the church like, well, you can't see me, but I'm thrusting my arms in the air. Yeah.
Rescues
and then he
his
gets
son.
the kid, and then the pastor's like,
"Oh, we're just trying to feed him ice cream."
Yeah, and the dad's like really kind of creeped out by this whole thing because they're in a basement of a church, and the people keep looking at him in a weird way
and walking towards them as
and
they
the
are
kid's
walking
like,
away.
Look at the clover, whatever leaf on their mark on their
Like a
face,
mole.
and they're all covering it up, and the dad's like, "Oh, really?" He's kind of creeped out, and he takes his son and he leaves. So you think, oh, well, the dad is finally convinced that maybe there's something going on.
He's on to him, right?
Yeah.
But picks up girlfriend's boyfriend, or girlfriend's wannabe boyfriend. They go back to the house, in which we see 7, 8 cars, including the police car. And we hear this faint music in the kitchen. Graham, you want to tackle this scene, this wonderful...
Oh, they've got a whole feast. They've got piped cakes, and they've got... a whole smorgasbord. There you go. The name of the show. In front of them, and they've got just the hardest sell. It's like being at grandma's table with something she's cooked all day, where they're just forcing it and getting it all cut up nice and to people holding plates very slowly walking across a room toward the 4 of them lined up. People clapping directly into their ear and singing the song. Nathan's got it ready. Here we go.
Too bad I forgot how the song goes.
I can't remember. It was very catchy.
Clapping and humming.
Yeah, it was like... I don't know. But, so they proceed to surround the family, but then it keeps cutting back. So, meanwhile, the kid is sent upstairs because he's like, Dad, Mom, these people are trying to eat you. And the dad's like... And then also the dad... sends the kid upstairs. He doesn't believe him. You're thinking, dude,
this is fine.
You were just in the church.
Yeah.
And so the kid comes upstairs and he looks in the mirror. And he's trying to get his grandpa's
help.
And then all of a sudden, instead of grandpa, it's the crazy rich lady
crashing through the mirror as a troll,
as
or
a goblin.
Sorry.
And then there's like a fight sequence. Or at least not fight.
Wouldn't call it a sequence.
She's trying to eat him or stab him or do something. They don't eat him because he's human. But so there's like this. They keep switching back between the townspeople trying to feed this food to the family, and the family is like in the middle, and they look really awful. They look really creeped out.
I don't know.
So. Yeah, it was.
So the goblin lady has crashed through the mirror. She's on the boy, and out of nowhere comes this axe down on her hand, slices her hand right off, and what she disappears back through the mirror. Like they used reverse, like they rewound the film to where like the crashing glass went back into the mirror. It was kind of cool.
Yeah,
well. For this film, it was pretty cool. And then you've got Grandpa standing there with the axe with, like, the creepiest smile on his face, just, like, staring at his grandchild, just, like...
Yeah,
just saved his life, but...
And, if it was anyone else, it would be terrifying.
If it wasn't your grandpa, you'd be running for
I
the
don't know,
hills.
if it was my grandpa, I'd probably still be terrified, because... And then it comes back to the family, and they're still holding their place of food with the townspeople around.
Clapping in their ear.
Yeah.
We can't emphasize how close they were when they're clapping.
Then the grandpa's like, okay, son, we're going to figure out how to defeat these guys. And he pulls out a
Grandpa?
He pulls out a Molotov cocktail, and he gives it to the boy. And I'm like, wow, this has got interesting.
But meanwhile, Grandpa's holding a fire extinguisher, saying, I'll create a distraction, and you throw the Molotov in. But
I'm thinking, is it the Molotov? Why? There's so many other ways you can go about this, yet they choose the most...
I liked the Molotov.
They go with the most complex. Apparently he's a demigod, but yet he's given a Molotov.
I didn't think about that. He could have just used his lightning powers.
Yeah, I know, there's a lot of plot holes.
But anyway, gets down there with the Molotov, prepares to throw it into the room with his family, that is standing there with their plates, surrounded, still being clapped into their ears. And then the preacher shows up, and he grabs the Molotov from the boy's hand and says,
I curse you from the spell book of curses, of magical curses.
Something like that. I thought it was more like, quit it. Or something.
And midstream, he sends Grandpa back to Hades, and his last wish from Grandpa is to zap the Molotov cocktail, light the pastor on fire.
With lightning.
He turns into a troll.
Yep. Burns him to death.
I like to mention that when the pastor was on fire, you could clearly see he was wearing one of those fire suits because he had these big old gloves on. I was thinking, wow, they spared no expense.
No expense.
Doing this movie.
$400 budget. No, $200 budget.
$200,000.
Special effects budget.
But without inflation, according to...
$220,000. Anyway, so Dad walks up, finally sees that the pastor has turned into a burned goblin, and finally realizes what is happening. To which the sheriff walks up and says, "You killed one of our own! Now it's your turn." To which we were thinking, okay, now it's really gonna pick up
running,
from here.
Screaming, fighting for your life.
And instead we just get like a bunch of stares. Everybody there just stares at the family. To which the family does this slow backing up walk all together, kind of arms around one another.
Yeah, but then it cuts back to more people staring.
More people staring. More people looking directly into the camera.
Yeah.
And then, again, at this point, I was expecting them to turn around, maybe jump in the car. They go right back into the house. They turn around, run right back into the house. To which they are then chased by...
But then they go in the house and nothing happens.
Oh,
and they're
yeah.
like, the kid's like, we gotta bring back Grandpa. And the was it the sister or the kid who says we have to have it?
Well, we can't have a seance. That zooms in like it. You're a genius.
Seance. Like, oh.
That's how you do it.
And so they had the seance. Oh no! Then it cuts to the kid, the last
The last kid.
The
last
last
kid who has not been affected.
Yeah, so he's in
Last-
the RV.
one of the boys.
He's in the RV, you know,
Watching TV.
Watching TV. And so meanwhile, the crazy witch lady like turns herself into a beautiful woman
with a corn cob.
with a corn cob. She goes to seduce him, and so I'm thinking, what's her angle here? Because there's no green stuff on the corn cob. I'm thinking like, okay, what's she going to do? So she's like seducing him. He's kind of like, he's just kind of staring off. I mean, I know I can't tell if it's consensual or not.
Oh.
I don't think it is. It's wrong either way. He's probably like in high school. And so all of a sudden, she throws him on the bed. She gets on top of him, proceeds
Pulls out the corn on the cob.
Yeah, pulls out the corn of the cob, sticks it in his mouth.
Well, hold on. You forgot her dialogue.
Oh, she's like, no. He says something about.
Oh, I don't.
No,
I like popcorn.
Yeah, he's like, I like popcorn. She's,
Well, that's okay. All we have to do is heat it up.
heat it up, and then she sticks the corn. It was the gross. I would never eat corn on the cob again.
It was a sloppy way to eat corn.
Yeah, it was like they both had a side of the corn cob and they were eating it while she was on top of him, and I was just like, okay, well, what's her aim? Because there's no green stuff on it.
Well.
So I guess, you know, even goblins have to have, you know, one-on-one time. But I'm thinking at the same time, don't humans gross them out?
Well, and then so as they're chomping down on the corn on the cob,
Someone's counting down from the sidelines. Everyone get a bucket of popcorn. 3, 2, 1, huck it. And they start throwing buckets of popcorn on them. Just you can tell it's from right behind the camera while they're smooching and eating corn.
So and then it finally cuts back to him, and he's buried in popcorn. I mean, it's probably a good 20 buckets of popcorn that's been dumped onto this kid.
And he's like,
it's in his ears, it's in his mouth.
No more popcorn.
The last words he says, okay, no more popcorn.
Like, just nonchalantly.
Yeah, like,
and she's not even in the RV anymore.
Like,
She's
that's
outside
the last
howling into the rearview mirror.
Like
that's the last thing we hear from him.
It's not like he's in pain.
No.
And I don't know if they're trying to convey that he turned into popcorn.
He didn't.
Yeah, I know. So I'm trying to find something.
I don't know what that scene was for or what
who it
happened
was
to
for.
him, but anyway. So let's talk about the ending real quick.
No, well, first of all, they bring the grandpa back. No, they don't. No, they had the seance, and then the trolls goblins.
Well, they have the seance, and the kid disappears from the
and
table
the goblins
from concentrating
break in.
too
The
hard.
magic Stonehenge stone block. You have to touch it because you remember that only good can overcome the evil.
Yeah, goodness overcomes the goblins
Which they have never clarified at all
in this film
up
to this moment.
So the kid's touching it, and things are going well, and all of a sudden the lady shows up, and all the goblins show up, and they grab his hand and say, "You're not going to do this." But his grandpa's given him a book bag and said, "You may only use this when you really need to." So he whips out of his book bag.
Not a sword.
Not a gun.
Not a troll amulet.
But rather a double-decker bologna sandwich. This is a movie. This was the final Thanos killing gauntlet weapon was a bologna sandwich.
And someone presented this to a movie production company, and they said, "Well, what's the ending?" And they nodded, and they said, "Okay, all right."
So he pulls out the bologna sandwich, to which goblins, they hate meat, they're vegetarians. They all kind of back up in disgust. The boy just takes a big bite out of the sandwich, starts chewing on it.
I'm going to throw up. I hate bologna.
And then he runs back up the stairs to stone jewel
and
thing, and
everyone
puts
starts,
his hands on it.
Yeah, and
Then his family shows up.
and
So then
he
they all
says-
put their hands on
He's
it.
like, keep concentrating, and he keeps saying it. And that meanwhile, the goblins start to internally combust.
Yeah. Turn into green goop.
Yeah, one falls off a balcony. One, her eye explodes.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
The witch lady, she spits up blood or the green goop.
Yeah.
And yeah.
And that happens. All this happens. The next scene is they're in their van, pulling into their driveway at home.
Yeah.
After all this happens, no
resolution.
no
really.
speech or anything, or we did it. Just
we're gonna warn people to never go to that town.
exactly.
Yeah, no. They pull into the house. You're thinking, okay, so we don't really know what happened to the other guys. Well, we know what happened to Arnold, but the yellow T-shirt dude, we can only assume drank the stuff
And turned into a chloroplast.
Yeah, and then we can only assume that
We never found out what happened to.
popcorn guy. I
yeah.
guess he drowned in the popcorn. I don't know.
Or maybe drove his RV home and was just fine.
It's just like, well, that was a. And so you think everything is going to be fine, sort of.
Well, and here's my thoughts. Here's my thoughts on this last scene. I think that the bologna sandwich. I think after the guy watched that scene and thought, we can't end it here. This is it's a little too anticlimactic. I mean, it's a sandwich, for crying out loud, that defeated the goblins. So, Graham, final scene.
They come home. The kid says, "Hey, Mom, what's up?" She's like, "Oh, look, there's these lovely apples sitting out for us from this family that was supposedly here." And she's chowing down on them, and he gets up to his room, and all of a sudden he realizes something's wrong, and Mom! And a little softball rolls down the stairs, and it says something, "Sorry,
Mom was tasty, or
Mom shouldn't have eaten the apples, buddy."
She was tasty.
Champ, Chief,
And then he proceeds to run up to the shower room.
where his mom was. The shower room.
The bathroom with the shower, and has the glass.
Like a shower.
Yeah, like a shower.
And that was Dad or Sis that had exploded into green paint.
No,
Mom.
that was Mom.
Mom.
So wait, tell me.
Who was getting eaten on the table downstairs?
I think it was Mom, because Mom said she was gonna take a shower.
So they dragged her
Was it
body
Sis?
all the way down.
Well, that didn't make any sense. Because Sis wasn't in the house.
No,
Sis left with boyfriend.
Dad went to go to the office.
Dad went to the office. It was Mom. Mom exploded in the shower
And
into a green chloroplast.
because there was a puddle in the shower.
Yeah. And then they dragged her downstairs, I'm guessing. The rest of
But
her?
there was still like, because they were eating her, there was still like fingers and then some bosoms.
Some.
So the things are eating her, which
Well, goblins.
what was the last line of it? He's like, "Do you want some?"
no, he's like, oh,
Yeah. The goblin.
the god. What
The last line. The
It's-
goblin
You want
looked
some? Are
at
you hungry? Did you want some
Joshua.
He's like,
Mm.
are
Said,
you?
Joshua, you want a bite too? To which we get a no.
Oh my God.
Freeze
Oh.
frame of his face screaming.
Credits.
Credits.
Literally, that was the end. I'm thinking,
I want to cut back to the last of the boys. He rolls into Dennis' parents' house. They swing the door, all his
Popcorn.
You are not going to believe the story. I want to hear that, kids.
That's like the end credit scene.
I know that. So, I'm just wondering, where did the goblins come from? Was that the family? Because the family was in the town.
I honestly think they just tacked that scene on at the end because they realized how anticlimactic the sandwich scene was.
Or was it all a dream?
Oh,
I think it was. I think
Maybe
the
it
kid just being crazy because his parents already said, "Man, your grandpa's dead. You can't see him."
he's got like a
Like a lost
Sixth
situation?
sense.
Yeah, that or
It's all happening in his mind.
that or it's just a terrible, terrible written movie, and I think that's,
But of the movies we've seen so far for the Smorgasbord,
this is a good terrible movie. Like
this is the best one we've seen yet.
like there's a difference between like a really bad movie that tries to be really good and tries to
The Fog.
in a fog. Tries to be scary. This is like they knew what they had. They only had they had a small budget and they went with it. And look, we were talking about it 20-some years later. I mean, that's success. No one's talking about the fog.
People still talking about O.J. Simpson. That's not really a success.
What? You talking about Trolls?
No.
O.J. Simpson. Well, he made a name for himself. In a very bad way.
Well,
Okay.
We do not condone Luke's viewpoints on the podcast.
Wait, do you condone or you don't?
I said we don't condone your viewpoints.
Oh, yes. For once. Wait. It's gotta be your bowl.
So, Trolls 2. Overall, what's a positive you can take away from it? Luke. Something that you thoroughly enjoyed.
I like the popcorn scene, you know. That was entertaining. It was kind of a more lighthearted moment.
It's not where you thought it was going.
Yeah, you know, it was kind of more lighthearted. You know, it was just some kinky fun.
Lighthearted, everybody. Graham, takeaway?
I would use this to show what not to do, especially in regards to acting. There's a lot of ham-fisted acting and dull deliveries and like not making eye contact with the people they're talking to. The mom's a little bit too much, kind of like, with all due respect to Stranger Things fans, Winona Ryder, I think, overdoes it a little bit. And
this is over that. I mean, that's even higher than...
Yeah, just so frantic and narrow-minded. So worth watching.
Nathan, what are your thoughts?
Well, once again, I liked how they took it and just ran with it. I thoroughly love this movie, and I will definitely be talking about it for many years to come. I'll be pulling references out of it, such as...
Oh my...
They ate her! Now they're going to eat me!
And
oh my... And yeah.
I'm just ready for Trolls 3, man. Trolls 3.
Well, gotta get that Trolls 1 backstory going first. But, a negative that you can take away? I guess we should have started with the negatives.
Maybe a little more of the mystical background plot instead of the magical Stonehenge rock and the magical smell book of spells. That was a little bit weak. Yeah. And since when do goblins have mystical spell casting powers? As a Buffy fan, I do take a little bit of... They're stepping on toes a little bit.
Yeah.
If you want good goblins, Buffy the Vampire Slayer, there's a good 90s show for you. Well, hang in there for the first season. Speaking of ham-fisted acting.
Yeesh.
I think they could have done the better on... They could have done better with... sorry, I'm getting a lot of looks from Graham and Wolf.
No,
Graham and
Wolf.
Nathan.
We're looking at how you're crossing your legs.
Yeah, I cross my legs when I talk, alright?
And your pant leg is all the way up to your thigh. Not your thigh, it's like your knee.
Okay, whatever. You know, this is podcast.
Anyway.
Okay, yeah, I think they could have done better to show what happens to the characters, like the boys, and the dad, and the sister. I mean, come on, you can't leave it like that. We gotta know, not like even resolution, but that's not the way you end a movie. I know they try to make it like a horror movie where it's like, oh, did the twist of like the killer coming back, but yeah, it felt very tacked on. There was no closure with the other characters. Yeah.
I guess the one thing that I would give advice towards for this film is the characters seemed a little flat. One-dimensional. Not a whole lot of depth behind them. Didn't have a whole lot of motivation to get to know the characters, minus the dad and his backstory of I dealt with hunger for when I was a kid, so you're gonna do a hunger strike. I've got more practice going on hunger strike than you, so I would have liked to, maybe know a little more about Dad's backstory. Maybe how'd Grandpa die? Maybe know how Grandpa died. Maybe how Grandpa got his mystical
trip to Utah
powers. Yeah.
Never came back.
So, anyway, Luke, would you recommend this film?
Oh, most definitely. I mean, it's pure entertainment. I mean, every scene is you're being entertained, because it's so bad. Usually there's some bad movies which is boring. It's just boring bad. This is like horrendously bad at everything. Everything they screwed up. There was not one glimmer of hope of competency throughout this movie. That's what's so perfect about it. Because you can tell, I mean, it's just beautiful. And so I really hope that whoever made this movie didn't put their heart and soul into it, because that would be really depressing. Because, boy, let me tell you, it's a roller coaster ride. Actually, it's not a roller. It's like a downhill roller coaster. There's a lot of screaming, but it's worth it at the end.
Well, this was directed by Claudio Fragasso, so you might give him a call, ask him if he did win an award and 2 nominations for something. I don't know what. Not this film, but born in Italy, in Rome. So.
When in Rome.
Graham, would you recommend this movie?
Sure. If you want to giggle through something and Mystery Science Theater 3000 it, you will not be disappointed. You will find something to laugh about every minute or two, or make fun of.
I too would recommend this film. I really enjoyed the special effects in this film. They had some really solid B-movie special effects that I enjoyed. The chloroplast, the melting girl, the corn on a cob, exploding popcorn scene.
Arnold's
throwing it from
tree.
set. Arnold's tree, my favorite. Yeah.
Mirror breaking.
Mm-hmm.
At the same time, they did really good with the costumes. The goblins, they really looked convincing.
All 6 of them that we saw every single time.
All 6 of them with the pillows stuffed
in their belly.
In their belly.
Which at one point I'm pretty sure we were convinced they were maybe children
of
the actors that were running around. Anyway, I would recommend this film. If you want to check it out, Trolls 2 is on Amazon Prime, not Netflix anymore. And I don't know where else you can find it. But with that, we wrap up yet another episode of the Smorgasbord. Catch us next time when we review yet another possibly terrible movie. I'm Nathan.
Oh, I'm Luke.
And I'm Graham.
This is the Smorgasbord Crew.
X-Files, 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 X-Files.
Oh my god! Oh my gosh! Hello and welcome to the Smorgasbord, bringing you another Netflix. No, this wasn't a Netflix movie review. This was just a terribly good movie review. But let's start off with introductions. I am Nathan.
I am Graham.
I am Luke.
And together we are the Smorgasbord Crew.
Spelled
S.
M.
Okay.
O.
R.
G.
Smorg. O.
And you can take it from there.
No. Hey, it's A. Smorgas.
You've got a 20th century phone. You can look it up there.
No, I have it because...
Give you 30 seconds.
A.S. Smorgas.
Board. Alright.
What, board?
Smorgasbord.
That's not one word.
It's definitely one word.
No, it's not.
Alright. Today we sat down and we watched the infamous Troll 2.